Let's start with the story of hope, a story of medical marvel that has saved the life of a 6-year-old from a deadly cancer. Ishwari Bagi Rao was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia, all as it's popularly known as ALL, a type of cancer of the blood and also the bone marrow. Now, despite undergoing several rounds of painful chemotherapy at Tata Memorial Centre in Mumbai, the cancer kept coming back. But Ishwari's story took a remarkable turn with CART, or as it's called CART cell therapy. She underwent some clinical trials, and as of today, Ishwari is 9 and has been miraculously cancer-free for over 1.5 years. So on the program today, we will be joined by Ishwari and her family. She joins us there with her mother. We also have her father. They all come from very humble means. The father, Bagi Rao, who you can see on your screen right now, is a driver and one who literally navigated her to good health. Also on the show, we will have the doctor, Dr. Gaurav Narula, who made this miracle happen and was closely involved and is Ishwari's doctor there as well. And the cherry on the cake, like I said, in the treatment which so far has been available only in states, is that it's now in India. It's made in India and it's available at a fraction of a cost. If you were to get this CART therapy in US or Canada and some of the European countries, very limited places where it's available, it would cost about 4 crore. But what Dr. Narula and his team has done is they have made it possible under 50 lakh. And not just that, they have now made it commercially possible. So you and I, who cannot get perhaps appointments at Tata Memorial, you don't have to worry. This therapy will now be available for one and all by the end of this year. So having said that, I'm sure you're curious about what exactly is this CART therapy that's giving life to so many those who seem to be losing their battle to cancer. Let's tell you in this explainer first. We'll come back to the family in just a moment. So CART therapy is a type of immunotherapy that uses the power of your body's immune system to fight cancer. It involves genetically modifying a particular cell in the patient's body, it's called the T cell, to better recognize and attack only the cancer cells. The T of the CART, C-A-R-T, actually comes from that. So how does it actually work? This is really fascinating, by the way. First, blood is drawn from the patient's body and then the doctor removes a special type of WBC, it's called the T cell, from that blood. This T cell is then programmed in a lab so that it can recognize and attack the cancer cells. Finally, they put that modified T cell back into the patient's body to fight the cancer. Now, this modification of the T cell is very, very fascinating. And what scientists have done here is, you can see in that animation over there, it has given weapon to the existing T cell in your own blood. It is your own blood that is being empowered to fight cancer. These T cells have been armed with spikes, and these spikes are their hunting in a way. They go hunt for the cancer cell, attack it, and multiply to destroy that very cancer cell. Unlike chemotherapy, which is a process of attacking cancer cells in which a lot of other healthy cells also get destroyed, CART is targeted. It's quite cool, right? And now the next question, of course, is what kind of cancer does it really work on? Now, CART cell therapy has shown promise in treating mostly blood cancers, such as, like I said, like ALL, chronic sort of lymphocytic leukemia, CLL, and certain types of lymphomas. Now, in 2017, the US had approved CART therapy for the first time, costing over some $4 lakh, which is about 4 crore, like I said. When imported to India, the price would have been much higher. But back in 2021, India began clinical trials at Tata Memorial Centre and IIT Mumbai as well. And in just about 2 years, it got approval for a commercial launch in India. That means that private hospitals can also now buy this therapy for their patients. It can be administered to about several patients wherever clinical sort of, the licenses have been given out and proper training has also been given. All this will be available for everyone to have and to use by the end of the year. So we're all quite looking forward to this medical marvel. But talking about the marvel, the real battle that was fought by Ishwari Bagi Rao. नमस्कार ईश्वरी, नमस्कार बाजी राव जी.
नमस्कार. नमस्ते.
नमस्ते.
नमस्ते. हमसे बात करने के लिए ब्रेकफास्ट क्लब पे बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. पहले बाजीराव जी हमें बताइए, हमने अभी इंट्रोडक्शन दिया, पूरा कार्ड थेरेपी क्या होता है लोगों को बताया, आपका स्टोरी अब सब जानना चाहते हैं. मैं जानना चाहती हूँ कि आप एक टैक्सी ड्राइवर हैं और आप कह रहे थे कैसे आपने बड़ी हार्डशिप्स के साथ ये फाइनल ट्रीटमेंट कराया बच्ची का. आज बच्ची अच्छी है, 1.5 साल से कैंसर फ्री है. हम चाहेंगे आगे भी ऐसा ही चलता रहे. पहले तो मुझे बताइए डिटेक्ट कैसे हुआ कैंसर? 6 साल की थी तब ये.
ऐसा हुआ, उसको पहले बुखार आता था. बुखार नॉर्मली रहता था, तो हमने उधर के नॉर्मल मतलब अपने जो रेगुलर डॉक्टर है उनको दिखाते थे हम. तो वो दवाई देते थे बुखार का. तो दवाई का असर, जब तक दवाई शरीर के अंदर है तब तक उसका बुखार जाता था. दवाई का असर जैसे भी शरीर से अंदर कम हो जाता है वापिस उसको बुखार आता था. ऐसा 1.5 साल मतलब 1.5 महीना ऐसा ही हुआ. तो बाद में ना अपने चेहरे पे जैसे पिंपल्स आते ना वैसे ना इसके गले के नीचे ना फूल गया था. छोटे छोटे पिंपल आए थे दोनों साइड में. देखिए इधर सर में भी आया था. तो वो बढ़ते बढ़ते बहुत बड़ा हो गया. उसको खाना भी नहीं जा रहा था, पानी भी नहीं जा रहा था पेट के अंदर. और वो ऐसा बड़ा हो गया था. इसके वजह से तो हमारे एक दोस्त थे नासिक वाले, उन्होंने हमारे को एक डॉक्टर का सजेशन दिया, पिंकी शाह काले कह के, वाड़िया की हॉस्पिटल है. उन्होंने अभी क्लिनिक खोला है उधर. उनका अपॉइंटमेंट लिया, उनको मिले हम. तो उन्होंने पहले उसका ब्लड का जांच किया. तो ब्लड का जांच करके ये रिपोर्ट आने के बाद उन्होंने बताया कि ऐसा ऐसा प्रॉब्लम है बच्चे को, आपके बच्चे को कैंसर है. तो कैंसर का बताया तो हम पूरे जगह पे ही हिल गए. मम्मी पापा हमारे को कुछ भी, हम तो खाली डॉक्टर के पास रोते ही रहे, क्योंकि उसकी कंडीशन देख के ना हमारे को भी थोड़ा ऐसा ही लग रहा था कि हमारी बच्ची अभी क्या बचने वाली नहीं है. लेकिन हमारे को डॉक्टर ने भी अच्छा सजेशन दिया. वो बोले एक तो वाडिया लेके जाओ या बम्बई में टाटा लेके जाओ. हम टाटा ही लेके गए 2 दिन में. तो उधर जाने के बाद उसका फाइल बिल बनाया, डॉक्टर ने देखा उसका कंडीशन. डॉक्टर बोले उसको एडमिट करना पड़ेगा आज के आज. तो 11 नवंबर 2020 में उसको एडमिट कर लिया टाटा में. तो 7 दिन हॉस्पिटल में वार्ड में एडमिट करके उसको इंजेक्शन सलाइन चलाया. फिर उसमें ना उसके 7 दिन में वो फूला हुआ था वो सब बैठ गया. मतलब उसका बायोप्सी ऐसा कुछ फाड़ना बीड़ना कुछ सर्जरी कुछ करना नहीं पड़ा. वो इंजेक्शन से ही चला गया. उसके बाद 9 महीना हमने कीमोथेरेपी लिया पूरा. तो उसका परसेंटेज ज्यादा था ना कि इसका कैंसर का, तो फिर डॉक्टर बोले कीमोथेरेपी देना पड़ेगा.
फिर बाजीराव जी आप लोगों ने फिर कीमोथेरेपी दिया. कीमोथेरेपी से काफी बच्चा ठीक हो गया, लेकिन फिर आप चेकअप के लिए गए तो तब तक वापस आ गया था कैंसर.
हाँ, 18 महीने में वो क्या रिटर्न वापस आया, बीमारी वापस आ गया. तो काउंट ही नहीं बढ़ रहा था और एएनसी ही नहीं बढ़ रहा था. तो सर डॉक्टर बोले आप इनका वापस एक बार बोन मैरो करके देखेंगे. बोन मैरो किया तो बोन मैरो में वापस रिटर्न दिखाया कि बीमारी वापस आ गई. तो बाद में डॉक्टर बोले कि आपको कीमो लेना है कि वो नया एक थेरेपी आया कार्टी का, करके देखेंगे. तो बोला अभी कीमो तो अभी लिया है, ज्यादा दिन भी नहीं हुए, वापस कीमो देने का. कीमो बहुत हार्ड रहते, बच्चा खाना भी नहीं खाता, बच्चे की हालत भी थोड़ी ऐसी हो जाती. तो बोलो कार्टी का क्या ऑप्शन वो भी करके देखेंगे. गौरी सर ने हमारे को अच्छा सजेशन दिया, वो कार्टी का बताया. उसमें भी प्रोसेस में 1.5 महीना गया. फिर उसका नंबर लग गया कार्टी के लिए. कार्टी के लिए वो फिर उधर एक्ट्रेक पहले परेल में लिया था, फिर एक्ट्रेक में शिफ्ट कर दिया. उसका कार्टी वो एक्ट्रेक में ही हुआ था, परेल अपने इतने खारघर में. तो 1.5 महीने के बाद अपॉइंटमेंट मतलब वो कार्टी के लिए उसका ये हो गया. फिर एडमिट कर लिया. तो 2 दिन ऐसे एडमिट रहे. उसके बाद उसका सेल्स निकाल के
वो
वो
पूरा
रिसर्च
ट्रीटमेंट करा।
हाँ
बाजीराव जी, आप लोगों ने बहुत हिम्मत दिखाई, बहुत मैं कहूँगी ब्लेसिंग्स भी रही एक तरह से कि आप लोगों को तुरंत टाटा मेमोरियल आप लोग पहुँच गए, वहाँ पर आपका ट्रीटमेंट भी हो गया, सारी चीज़ें हो गई। आप अभी भी काम पर हैं, मैं देख सकती हूँ। आप घर पर नहीं हैं, अभी भी बाहर काम पर निकले हुए हैं, हमसे बात कर रहे हैं। आज कितने हिम्मत से बात कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आज बच्ची ठीक है। उस समय आई एम श्योर कितना घबरा गए होंगे सब लोग। सुनंदा भी हमारे साथ हैं, ईश्वरी भी हमारे साथ हैं। पर सुनंदा, मैं आपसे जानना चाहती हूँ कि मैंने वीडियो देखा, मुझे बाजीराव जी ने जो भेजा ईश्वरी का, उसका कीमोथेरेपी चल रहा था, पर वो हॉस्पिटल में अपना एप्रन पहन के डांस कर रही थी। उसका पूरा
हाँ वो
स्पिरिट हाई रखा आप लोगों ने।
हाँ वो ऐसे ही करती थी, सब फ्री रहता था। हम भी उसको पूरा सपोर्ट करते थे कि उसकी बीमारी उसको भी ऐसा ना लगे कि मैं बीमार हूँ, और हमको भी ना लगे कि ये बीमार है। इसकी वजह से वो बहुत नटखट भी है।
ईश्वरी, हाय। हाय, आप कैसे हैं? मुझे बताइए, इतना दिनों तक ट्रीटमेंट चला हॉस्पिटल में, आप घबराए नहीं, डरे नहीं?
नहीं।
क्या सोचते थे उस समय? कितने सारे लोग हैं जिनको अभी कैंसर है, वो आपका स्टोरी देखेंगे, उनको लगेगा कि अगर ये बच्ची फाइट कर सकती है तो हम भी कर सकते हैं। उनको क्या कहेंगे आप लोग?
कुछ नहीं, अच्छा ही बीमारी से फाइट करो, बीमारी से फाइट कर और अच्छे हो जाओ, और अच्छे हो जाओ।
सुनंदा जी, बाजीराव, थैंक यू सो मच हमसे बात करने के लिए, इतना इंस्पिरेशन देने के लिए और हमें बताने के लिए। मैं अभी यही कहना चाहती हूँ कि आप लोगों ने जो करा, मैंने जैसे कहा, बहुत ब्लेसिंग्स रही लोगों की, कितने अच्छा ट्रीटमेंट टाइम पर मिल गया और अच्छा ट्रीटमेंट मिल गया। बाजीराव जी, आपने ये भी बताया कि क्योंकि आप लोग लकी थे, अगर प्राइवेट में करवाना पड़ता तो शायद इतने रिसोर्सेज नहीं होते बच्चे का ट्रीटमेंट कराने के लिए।
थैंक्स तो हम डॉक्टर गौरव सर को ही बोलेंगे। उनका बहुत योगदान है इस थेरेपी में। उन्होंने अच्छे तरह से हमारे को योगदान भी दिया है और बच्ची का ख्याल भी उन्होंने रखा है। जैसी बच्ची बोली वैसे उन्होंने किया है। टाटा के हर डॉक्टर से हमारे को ये थी, ख्वाहिश थी कि बच्चे के लिए अच्छा करे। लेकिन सब डॉक्टर अच्छे हैं। और आपने ईश्वरी ने जो जो डॉक्टर के पास जो जो चीज मांगाई, एक भी डॉक्टर ने बोला कि नहीं देंगे, सबने दिया उसको। गिफ्ट सब में दिया, किचन सेट दिया, डॉल सेट दिया, डॉक्टर किट दिया। उसका बर्थडे भी उधर ही बनाया। बर्थडे उसका उधर ही है, टाटा में ही बनाया सिस्टर लोगों ने। बहुत अच्छे डॉक्टर है सब टाटा के। थैंक और तो गौरव सर।
या बहुत ही इंस्पायरिंग स्टोरी है और हमसे बात करने के लिए, ये सब करने के लिए बाजीराव जी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। बट आपने डॉक्टर गौरव की बात करी, वो भी हमारे साथ इस समय जुड़ रहे हैं। हाय, गुड मॉर्निंग डॉक, आई वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड सो मेनी थिंग्स फ्रॉम यू, बट फर्स्ट अप टेक अस थ्रू हाउ दिस एंटायर जर्नी हैज़ रियली बीन। Dr. Narula, thanks so much for joining us on TBC this morning. And firstly, a big congratulations to what you and your team have achieved. Getting a 9-year-old to be cancer-free now thanks to this new therapy. I firstly want to understand, there are so many questions really that's running on our minds. But the most important one that ensures effectiveness of this is bringing the cost down from 4 crores to just under 50 lakh now. How did you make that possible?
Well, when we started out, this therapy was still not approved, and there was no price tag to it. So that's when Dr. Rahul and we met in 2015. We realized that whenever it comes, it's going to be very expensive, and the only way that we could keep the cost down is if we did it ourselves in India. And really, the key to keeping the cost down is because it was completely researched first in Dr. Rahul's lab. And then the developmental work which we did after that, that know-how cost is the key to keeping the cost low. So, so I think in a nutshell that would be the answer. There are many more things to it, obviously, and that is where my collaborator Dr. Rahul Purwar has established ImmunoAct, the company. So that's on the business side of things. where you could get more clarity about how the cost can be kept down. But the key is having the know-how on our own and manufacturing it from scratch in India is what has kept the cost down.
Right, right. Doc, one question that comes to mind after having understood the whole process here is that it is a ray of hope for so many cancer patients across India. But how do you identify, or if for those watching right now, how do they know if they're eligible for this therapy?
Right. So there are two things. One is cell and gene therapy as a class of therapy by itself. And the second is what we have proven and established and got approval for it right now. So right now, the approval has come for one particular type of disease, that is B-cell leukemias and lymphomas.
Okay.
So any organ in the body can become cancerous. But when the B cells, which are part of the immune system of the body, when they become cancerous, this particular therapy which has been developed right now is directed against B cells only. It can recognize the antigen on B cells and kill them. So now, right now it is approved, B cell leukemia and lymphomas also have got standard therapies available for them. So most of them, they are considered curable with chemotherapy, and maybe some of them require some additional therapy. But if they relapse, then they require transplants. And some of them don't respond even to that, or not eligible for transplant. That is where this particular therapy works. So where nothing else has been working, the CAR T-cell therapy has shown efficacy in relapsed and refractory B-cell leukemias and lymphomas.
Right. So if I were to understand this in Asan Bhasha for our viewers, it would basically be that if you, blood cancers, those who are suffering from that, and those that involve the B cell, that typically is what will get you to the CAR therapy. And it's not just a Tata Memorial. This is now a commercially available therapy that can be attained in other hospitals across the country as well.
Yes, absolutely. So we were part of the development process. So the initial clinical trials were done in Tata Memorial Hospital. But once the commercial approval has to be applied for, the company ImmunoAct has done the multi-center trial, and after that they've got the commercial approval. So now ImmunoAct is ready to give it to any hospital which has the capability of giving this therapy. So every patient all across the country can now get it, and we are happy to see our baby now. We are happy to see our baby now out into the world.
Right. A lot has been written globally about the side effects of CAR therapy. What are you seeing in clinical trials that have been conducted in India on our gene pool?
So the clinical trial data, and I will talk about that, but is publicly available because the rest is still some part of it is still in development. This product can cause side effects. Two major side effects are cytokine release syndrome, which occurs directly because these are immune cells which release a lot of cytokines which are killing the cancer cells. And these can cause fever, high-grade fever, low blood pressure, low oxygenation. And the first few patients which were treated in the world often end up in the ICU, and many still do. But they have treatments available for that, and they can be handled. And we expect everybody to recover from them. So this is what is known about this class of products. But as far as our particular product was concerned, we found it to be exceptionally safe. We have not had a single child going into the ICU for cytokine release syndrome. Of course, from the worldwide experience, we also know how to manage these earlier and better, so we don't allow that situation to develop. Another toxicity which is known as neurotoxicity, and neurotoxicity can occur in nearly 1/3 of these patients. It is reversible, but it is a very distressing side effect. But in our product, which we have seen over here in the trials and what has been given out so far also, neurotoxicity is almost completely absent. Almost completely absent, I say, because we hardly see it at all. And where there have been other factors which have contributed to it. So it has been proven to be exceptionally safe. But the third thing is also there. It's a new therapy, and they can be medium to long-term effects, which we do not know about as of now. So that is something which we still have to see down the line, and it's going to require evolution. Now, in the US FDA, they have reported that some of these patients have gone on to develop, second cancers. It's very, very low percentage, less than 0.008% or something, or some 12 or 18 cases out of some 20,000 patients who have received it. But and we don't know yet whether it has been caused by this. But there is, that we need to know more data. However,
Right.
I will say very clearly over here before any scaremongering occurs on this issue that the class of patients that we are using it in are those in whom there is really no therapy available. So first you need to respond to that therapy, and these are fatal disorders. So first they need to respond to that therapy, and if they are going to live long enough, only then we'll know whether there is a possibility of something else happening down the line. Yeah.
I see. I see. My next question, Doc, is on at what stage of cancer is this therapy most effective? What have, again, your trials shown you so far?
Yes. So what happens is that it's a new, when you develop a new drug, safety, ethical concerns, and everything else included ensures that we first try it in patients where really nothing else is working, because that's where you want to show it first. That is good, and it's also challenging. Because what happens is that, of course, it's good in the sense that, that is obviously we should try it in patients when all lines of therapy have failed. The challenging part is that when nothing else is working, how do you expect a new drug to work? So, given this situation, when you get dramatic responses like we have with this class of drug, the hope arises that it can be used earlier in the therapy. Why wait till the end of the line? You can use it earlier and earlier. But that requires clinical trials to do, where we need to compare this therapy with the available therapy and see, instead of chemotherapy, if you give CAR-T, how's it going to work? But those answers will come out over time. This is still a very new therapy.
I see. I see. All right. That answers most of my questions, Doc. But one other thing that I have in mind is that these days, whenever a delivery happens, a child is born, storing of stem cells has become really huge. More and more people say that though the end case use we do not know, a lot of parents now are procuring the placenta cells and the details, etc. So, can those be used in this therapy at all?
That's a complex question and a controversial one. Let me put it this way. First of all, we are not using stem cells in this therapy. We are using mature T cells. So we are not using stem cells for this therapy at all. So that is one. Two, storing of cord blood cells, etc., gives us a rich source of stem cells and other kind of cells which are present in abundant, and they are relatively naive because at that time they have not been exposed to all these antigens inside the outside world. And it's a great source for research and potential for the therapeutic use. But actual therapeutic applications are very limited at this time. So I would say that if you are storing your cord blood, it's a very noble thing, but store it to give it away for research or for somebody else who might need it. It's hardly ever likely that the same person is going to need it back again. The chances are just too low. So there are many more issues involved in this, which I will not get into at this time. I would probably, that's all I would say.
Probably we'll do another episode only on that, and then then you can shed more light on that. All right, on that note, Dr. Nirula, thank you so much for doing what you do, for bringing in this therapy to India, and not just that, making it affordable for lakhs of people, also for making it commercial in a way that not everybody will get an appointment at Tata for treatment, to ensure that this is actually available across the country in various hospitals as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for everything you're really doing.
Thank you very much. I would be amiss if I didn't acknowledge it's a large team which works, but Dr. Rahul Purwar is actually the scientist who developed it, and my colleague Dr. Hasmukh Jain, who led the adult trials, which led to the landmark study, which led to the adult approval, is two names which I would like your audience to know very much. So thank you. I just sit here on behalf of a very large team. Thank you.
Thanks. Please carry our wishes to them as well. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.